we're all set. So I would like to introduce you to our August speaker, Mary Jo Ernst from, she's from what part of Michigan? What's the name of Michigan?
I'm in West Michigan. I live in the little tiny town of Montague.
Montague. Okay, she's a member of the USK West Michigan. And prior to that, she was a member of USK Chicago for 7 years. So she's been around a long time. She teaches classes in sketching with water-soluble pens. So she's well versed in it. She loves it. That's her forte. So she's going to share it with us. So I won't say any more. And here's Mary Jo.
Hello. I just want to start by saying thank you for the invitation. This is really exciting for me, and bear with me because this is my first online demo I've ever done. So I do a lot of teaching, as Lisa said. I was with Chicago. I started in Urban Sketchers in 2015. And I think I saw something on the internet. I saw a picture of one of their meetups or something and thought that's something that I want to do. So I went to the next month's meetup and I was terrified, and I sat in my car and tried to talk myself out of it for 20 minutes. And then I decided to go ahead and join them, and I ended up loving it, and then ended up being one of the main admin with the Chicago group. And if you were at the 2017 Chicago Symposium, I was probably the person that met you at the door. I was the one that was wearing the mermaid costumes and the crowns and all kinds of stuff to make my boring job more fun. And I moved to Michigan, back home, Michigan, in November 2021, and started a chapter here with another sketcher, Marcia Schrotenboer, who's in Holland. And we actually have a pretty big territory, but it works because we have a nice balance between rural and city as far as our members go. So we all, do quite a bit of driving when we have meetups, but we have an admin in each corner of the triangle that we kind of cover in our group. And so we kind of all just kind of host what works best for us. So, and like Lisa said, I work mostly in soluble inks. I do all kinds of mediums. The picture I have on my screen is a watercolor with ink that I did. The other styles that I usually do is a permanent pen ink with watercolor, but I primarily do soluble inks. Sometimes I put them in fountain pens, and I kind of discovered this technique with a Pilot blue pen. All Pilot pens are soluble. And the reason that I like this pen, this is the pen here. It's that's the one from Canada. Sorry. Let me grab my other one. Canada has a different pen. It's the Pilot Precise Grip, and it's the bold tip. I like using the solubles because I like the unexpectedness of it. It's, kind of hard to control it, to have something perfect. So it really is a perfect technique to kind of allow yourself, if you're a skilled sketcher, it's a great way to kind of loosen up with your technique. Everybody's always talking about how they want to kind of loosen up a little bit. And then for beginners, it's a very easy technique. It's a very effective technique. You can put very little effort into it and get really great responses. So it's a really good technique for people that are just brand new to sketching. It works really well. So Mark needs to stop talking.
Thank you.
Sorry. So let me see where I was at. So as far as inks go, there's different types of inks, and I prefer to use the medium intensity inks because they're easier to control. And I like to use a medium nib in my pens if I'm using a fountain pen. And the reason I like the bold nib on the bold pen, the Pilot pen that I use, is because it gives me more ink to deal with. I know a lot of sketchers like to use an extra fine or a fine nib when they're doing their regular sketching. But when you're working with solubles, it's better to have a little bit more ink expressed onto your paper. And you know, it's a simple setup. If I'm using just this blue pen, it's a blue pen, the water brush, or a paintbrush with a water container, your paper, and then sometimes I'll use a white Posca, you know, highlighter to add some further details. If I'm using water soluble ink in my pen, it's kind of the same setup. It's a pretty easy setup. So it's a really easy way to, if you're just kind of going out and about and you want to just, you know, just do some sketching and create some lines and just kind of, you know, meditate with the lines that you're making on your paper. It's a really great medium to do that. So, so I like to use the medium intensity inks. The ones that I really like are, I don't know if there are other people that are on here that work with inks also, but there are some inks that I call them rogue inks, and they're packed with chroma. And so, you know, you'll put it on the paper as just say like a black ink, and you will add some water and it'll split into these really fun colors like pink and blue. And those are the ones that I really like, because then you get 3 colors out of 1 pen. So those are the pens that I tend to prefer if I'm using them in my fountain pens. As far as paper goes, paper is very important. I have 3 examples here of different types of papers. It's the same sketch, the same pen. And you can see a big difference in them. So this is the hot press. And you can see how the color's a little bit more dull. It's a flat press paper, so the color stays kind of on top of it. This is just kind of a cheap flat watercolor paper that I bought. It's thick. You want something heavy. I usually do at least 140-pound weight paper. So this is what looks like on hot press. This is the vellum, and you can see a big difference between these two, how the ink doesn't really bleed on the vellum. Vellum is a very tight surface. It's also considered a hot press, but it has a ton of binder in it. So you're not going to get very much penetration with your ink. So the one that I prefer, and you can kind of see the difference of why I like this paper. This is cold press. This is Hahnemuhle's Harmony paper. This is my favorite paper. It has a little bit of binder in it. The binder is in the middle. So it does soak in a little bit, but then it stops. So this is the paper that I really like. You can see how you can get much deeper values with it. And I like some drama in my ink sketches that I do. So this is my preferred paper. If anybody has any questions, just go ahead and, you know, buzz in. I don't mind. I'd rather answer a question while I'm talking about it than go back and try to, you know, figure it out. So if anybody has any questions about paper, just let me know.
Mary Jo, I do have a
Yes.
question. This
Okay.
paper here, this cold pressed, is this a little watercolor pad, or is this just another, is it a special paper, or is it just actually watercolor paper that you've cut?
This is, I cut it out of, they've got a really big, I think it's like an 11 by 15 pad that I cut stuff from. But I also have it in watercolor blocks. I've got it in the 9 by 12. My favorite block of theirs is the 7 by 10 because I can take that out sketching and I stick a magnetic binder clip on it and just put my stuff right on there. And I use that as my board while I'm sketching.
Oh,
But
okay.
this is a single sheet. And I'm glad that you asked me about the paper again, because I like cold press because it has a little bit of a dimple to it. And much like granulated watercolors, how they kind of pool and settle in interesting kind of ways. That's why I like this paper. I like a little bit of a pool and a feathering that can settle in kind of an unusual way, an unexpected way. I really like that.
Oh, okay.
It's all preference though. I mean, this is the paper that I like to use. The only thing you really need to do with a soluble is make sure you've got pretty good heavy paper. If you've got thinner paper, you usually use a lot of water. And so you want something that's going to absorb that water. And this paper takes a beating. You can put a ton of water on it and it really takes a beating. It doesn't pill. It doesn't tear. It doesn't break down. It really is a great paper. So, and like I said, the binder is sandwiched in the middle of it. So it doesn't affect the top part of it. And it's such great paper. You can use both sides if you wanted to. So I talked about the blue pen is my favorite. There's a lot of soluble things that are sitting around your house that would work too. I grabbed a couple from my little bin. This is an example of kind of what the Rogue ink that I was talking about. This is the Elegant Writer marker. And it's just a felt tip marker. You can get it at any of the craft stores. I like quill brushes. This is the Da Vinci Casaneo size 2 quill. They've been donating these for years to all the symposiums and seminars. So I have quite a few of them. But this is what happens when you add it on there. It's very soluble. And when that dries, the more water you add, the more color you get out of it. So there's like pink in there and there's turquoise in there. So that's Elegant Writer marker. This is a new product by Sailor. It's their ink. This happens to be one of my favorite inks. It's called Rikusha, and it's a dark brown ink, but when you add water to it, it turns pale blue and pale green. This is a new product with them. This is a really fun pen to sketch with. See, when you add, they're highly soluble also. You can get some really cool, pretty things out of it, but see the color changes on that just a little bit. And then the Stabilos are soluble. If you have these little pens, these are soluble. They're a little dry. I haven't used these very much lately, but they're soluble. Sometimes I'll use the gray in this one for my initial sketch. And then it gives it just a little bit of something. But see how this is continuing to split in color? Such a pretty ink. That's the Elegant Writer marker. And then this one, this is the Staedtler Triplus. It's the same, almost the same as the Stabilo. That also is soluble. Not quite as intense. You can get a little bit of pink off of there. And then all Papermate markers, I only had the green, but the Papermate Flare, the black, those flares and joys, is, cheapy, they look just like this. You kind of get the same result as this one here. You get kind of a blue and a pink with it. So this is the Papermate. See how soluble that is? So you can use that also. And then this is kind of a usual pen. It's called the Snowman marker. It's from Japan and it's not easy to get. Somebody gave it to me, but it has the same, almost the same kind of quality as the Elegant marker. Let's see how fun it is. It's really fun. And then one more, we have the Tombow markers, which are soluble. Sometimes they can rip some papers apart, so you need a good paper with a binder on it to use it. And they have a little bit of soluble to it. So these are things that you might just have sitting around, that if you think you didn't have any solubles, it's quite possible that you have solubles sitting around your house. So those are just some extra ideas of things that you can add to your sketch kit if you want to start adding some solubles to your sketch kit. Like I said, all pilot pens are soluble. Any of these packs that you see at the store, these are all soluble. The only thing about, these are much easier to find than this one. It looks the same, but this is a smaller nib. So I don't use these too much because, like I said, when I'm sketching, if this is what I'm using to sketch with my regular pen, my regular bigger blue pen with a bold tip, I get more ink on my paper. So generally when I'm teaching this class, and I just taught a bunch, I taught in a USK Chicago at their seminar. And then I just taught at USK Toronto at their 10 by 10 Sketch Fest. I start with just some basic line making, because a lot of times people, it's good to kind of go back to basics, but also it's good practice to learn how to control the ink. The ink is pretty intense in this pen. It can be pretty intense. So I usually just start with people can make some lines. If you've got a pen that you can play around with it, or you can even use if you have a watercolor marker or a watercolor pencil, this is a good practice thing for you to do too. I'll start with having them put their lines fairly close together, and then I kind of have them widen it a little bit. And it kind of just gets you used to putting lines on paper with the pen, seeing what it can do. And then I do another box. Same kind of idea, but we curve it, because when you're sketching, it really helps to use a variety of lines. If we just did the same line over and over again, it wouldn't be a very interesting sketch. So I encourage everyone to try to use a variety of different lines, and curving your lines gives you that sense of shape and depth. So I start with the same, little bit closer together, a little bit farther apart. And then we do a little bit of hatching. Sorry. And I am saying that my light source is coming from here. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more darker here, and I'm going to get a little bit lighter here. That's your regular hatching. This is cross hatching. Gives you a little bit more texture, a little bit more depth. And you can see just by doing that, it gives you a little bit of shadow already without even adding the water. It just kind of gives you a little bit of texture. You can build it and build it and build it till it gets as dark as you want it to be. And then something that I do a lot of with this pen is I do stippling. This is great for someone who loves to spend a lot of time on their sketches. I tend to spend very little time on my sketches. So if this is your jam to kind of meditate and if you like all the little details, this is a really good example for you, is just to kind of, just little dots. It's called stippling. And then same thing, you do them closer and closer to here. In the corner where you want more. This is your only medium. When you're using this pen, this is your only medium. So the more marks you make on your paper, the darker your sketch is going to be. So I'm just going to put some of this in here, and then I'm going to just kind of add a couple little here, just kind of fade it out a little bit. And then one of my favorite lines that I use all the time, regardless of what medium I'm going to use, is a broken line. And because I don't really like the kind of cookie cutter outline. And if you do a broken line, it gives you the ability and the possibility options to kind of you can add more lines to the sides of it because it's not filled in. So this is what I consider, it's a cookie cutter where it's just, this is your leaf and it's just filled in. I prefer to just kind of skip my pen a little bit through here and do a broken line. And then it gives me all this area here that I could shade if I wanted to. On the outside, I'd do some negative space. If you like to do the kind of negative space type painting, I like to put a little bit of mark on there and just keep adding. The technique that I do is more layers. And so I start very light. I kind of bounce my pen a little bit around the paper. I don't do real hard marks on it. And then I'll show you the difference of like a broken line for texture. This is what a plain line would be. And that certainly looks like a leaf, but I prefer to do some broken lines that gives you a little bit more texture. Kind of like that. And then you can also skip some areas to give you like a highlight if you want. And see how you end up like with this little highlight area right here. You're not filling it completely in. So that's the broken line. And then the last line that I really like is kind of a filler. And instead of just kind of filling it solid like this, I like to do, I call it a sound wave because I can't think of another way to do it, but it's basically an uneven fill in. And I just kind of vary the size and even the lightness of the line. The great thing about this pen is that you can turn it on its side and you can get this really wonderful. See how light that is. Can't really see it that well on the camera, but so that's that. And then I'll show you what happens when we add water. We're just kind of learning how to push the ink around. Like I said, it's very soluble. Let me grab my paper towel here. You can use a little bit of water or a tiny bit of water, but see how it kind of activates right away. It's really a dynamic ink to use. And I can leave that highlight there and see the difference between this one and that one. I think this one is much more expressive. And then this is my little heartbeat line. Works really well for underneath plants and stuff. And then also, what I'll do is go back to some of these really dark areas and I can use that as ink. So I use it as a wash. So I can then add more stuff here if I want structure, like if I wanted to just do the shadow of a tree or something. I'm just gonna do it really fast. I can just put in a suggestion. So those are the lines that are good to practice to get an idea of what it does. I'm going to show you a couple of my, I'm going to set this aside because it's really wet. I'm going to show you some of my blue ink sketches. This is a sketchbook that I did in Amsterdam. I was not very good at drawing buildings when I started, but by the end I got better. And this is the zigzag. This is my absolute favorite paper to sketch on. I was just in Toronto with the Honeymoon guys and I said, what's the difference? Like, what paper do you use? And they go, it's special. They say it's a little bit heavier than the Harmony, but I think the Harmony that I use is pretty close to this. So you can see how intense this ink is. Wow. And then you can also sketch on the back. And I put how hot it was every day because it was 100 degrees. It was 98 to 100 degrees when we were in Amsterdam. Let's see how vibrant the ink is. Yeah.
So, Mary Jo,
Yes.
is that a Han Miller sketchbook?
Yes. This is a zigzag. It's called their zigzag. It's my favorite book.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen the zigzag? Well, okay. They come in a bunch of different sizes. I prefer the square because I'm dyslexic. I have a spatial dyslexia, like truly, and I have a hard time sketching a certain way, direction. And this tells me right where the middle is. You know, like I know my brain tells me here's the middle because it's a square. Either that or I like the 5.5 by 8 that just opens and then it's more of a square, but I really struggle with the landscapes. So this is one of them that I did in Amsterdam. And then I just started filling this one. It's not a very, I made it myself out of the Harmony paper. I haven't finished it. It's just kind of a mess, but you'll get an idea. So this is the Harmony paper. This one I did on location. This one I obviously didn't. That was a friend's picture. That was on location. This one was on location. And this is what I'm talking about, where you can go back. You don't have to put everything in your sketch. You can just suggest. I'm trying to suggest in the cemetery. There's a lot going on in the cemetery. So I tried to just kind of put in a couple extra, you know, give her some little company. This is another sketch I did in the same cemetery. It was a broken headstone I thought was kind of cool. This is the Muskegon right near where I live, about 20 miles from where I live. This was in the UP, did a UP trip with 2 other sketchers in June. And this one, these are both really good examples because with this technique, it's all about values. And our eyes know and understand, our brain understands the highs, the whites, and then the really, really darks, but it's that mid-range where you really have to make your decisions. And this is true of any kind of medium that you're using. It's the mid-range that makes and breaks your sketch or your drawing. So the technique that I do, like I said, is layers, and I'll talk about the mid-range when I'm doing this, but this is a really good example of, this one got a little bit away from me. It almost has too much mid-range in it. And you can see the difference from this one. In real life, this was dark or the same color as this. But I knew that if I put water on there and made that the mid-range, it would kind of not make my sketch very interesting. So with this process, you start with layers and you make your decision as your layers go. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of problem solving as you're doing it. You don't always know exactly, you know, how you're going to approach it. So on this one, like I said, it's missing some of I could go back and maybe add and show you the difference so you can see the difference like right away. See if I go back here and I add that, see how much more dramatic that is when I add that little bit there, because this was all mid-range. And that makes a big difference when I do that. So a lot of times I'll go back with the white. You can't really see it that close here. See that little bit of white there? It turns kind of turquoise from the blue ink. It stains quite a bit. And you'll get very messy with these pens, by the way. You get it all over your hands because it just kind of smears. Sometimes I can resurrect. I have a heavy hand, so sometimes I can kind of resurrect my sketch by adding a little bit of white to it. But with some of them, like this one, I'm just leaving it. It's just was for fun. You know, I do these fairly fast. They're maybe 30 minutes, you know, if that. And then I just move on. They really just for fun. It's a great technique, you just need with, you know, such little supplies. It's a way to just really carry very little, and you know, and you can just sketch a lot more. So these didn't really quite get done. It's my one. I think this is my favorite one right here. That was a picture one of my friends posted from Japan. But this is Lake in the Clouds up on the Porky Mountains at 6 a.m. I think every mosquito in the world was there that morning. That was a rained on one. This is what happens when your initial sketch gets rained on. This is Chicago. This is Toronto. I was in the Distillery District, sketching with my sketch friend, Marek. This is the St. Lawrence Market. This was my demo, and I don't normally, this is the first time I've ever done this, and I don't know what possessed me to use it as my demo when I'm teaching. But I think I just didn't want to do something that I always do. It was too easy, and I wanted I had a couple beginners in my class, and so I wanted to challenge myself as much as they were challenged by this. So I did an overview of the market, and I'm actually quite proud of it because I've never done this before, and I've always thought, no, I can't do that. I'm not going to do it. It's going to look bad. And then I just look, what the heck, I'll do it. So I'm really proud of the sketch. So I did that one. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and start? I'm going to grab my paper. But I want to show you this again, because look how pretty this ink is continuing to change. That's the Elegant Writer. Isn't that crazy? And even these, yeah, it's so fun. Okay, I'm gonna rip this off because it's wet. Actually, I'm just gonna pat it. And I'm gonna pop up my reference photo. You guys all have the reference photo, right?
Yes.
You guys all have the reference photo or no? I'm gonna put a little tape on here.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I like to use tape because I like the ink to pool in my corners sometimes. Because you can get kind of an interesting texture along the edge then. I know a lot of people do this with watercolor, so you probably all know what I'm talking about. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, I don't mind answering them, so. Okay, let me finish my tape. I'm gonna use a little section over here to use as a scratch pad because I'll use a scratch pad and I can scribble my ink off to the side, and I can use that as a wash. Also, it's another layer that I can add without having to put lines on my paper.
And where did we get the reference photo from?
Email.
Oh, it's on Facebook?
It's posted
Yeah.
on Facebook, yeah.
Posted on Facebook, and I emailed it to everybody who I have their email. Should have gotten it.
It's on the Facebook announcement. of the meeting.
Okay. I have mine all set. I've got mine on my phone. Okay. So this is the reference photo. I can just lay it right here if that helps. Does that help? Or no?
Should have it. I mean, I posted it for
Okay.
everybody.
Let me-
It helps. It helps to have that there. Thank you.
Does it help? Okay. Here,
It's on the Facebook page.
let me, yeah.
Pardon me.
God bless you.
Mary Jo, can you pull your sketch?
Mute me, sorry.
Pardon?
Can you pull your sketchbook down? There you go. Now we can.
Okay. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let me check this pen. I I think I was sketching with one they call a gusher. Every once in a while, we'll get a pen that's like a gusher, which is something new now with their inks. They fortunately, I think they're changing their ink a little bit. And I would, if I should say right now that I'm a reuser. I reuse everything. I'm a repurposer. I use tin can lids to mix my water in on my little board and stuff. And if I could find a blue ink that was comparable to this, I would switch it out to a fountain pen and just sketch it with a fountain pen. But I've tried every blue ink, even the Pilot, the regular Pilot fountain pen blue ink, and it's not the same as this. I'm not really sure what this is, but let me see. Let me get the right one here. Yeah, that one's good. Okay. So when I start my first layer, I look at my picture and I try to decide where my deepest values are. And I'm mindful when I'm putting my preliminary sketch on paper. I go very, very light. And like I said, I use a broken line and I do kind of bounce it around a little bit. And I put in some of the dark areas. So I'm just going to start with the basic sketch. Maybe I'll just do this part here. I think I'll just do this part here. And I don't really kind of worry too much about it being perfect because I don't know, it's no fun for me to worry about that. So I don't get caught up in, too much detail. On at least on the first pass, I don't get caught up in too much of the detail. This is a picture of a place that's called Monet's Garden, and it's in Muskegon, the same place that the other cemetery sketch was at. And then with the bushes, I just kind of use a lot of broken lines. I just kind of, move it around. I'm thinking when I'm using my lines, I want to use a variety of lines. I don't want the lines to be all the same. And the more lines I put on here, the more color there's going to be. So I know that it's very dark down here. So I'm going to use that kind of sound wave line. I'm just going to fill in a bunch of little places down here. I cropped it off at the sidewalk just because I didn't think that was necessary, but you can sketch it however you want. It's good to have some movement in your lines. I'm going to add some more here. I'm not going to do all the detail. And I picked this photo because I really like that faded building in the back, and I knew that it would give me a really good chance to get some stuff in there. So I'm just going to keep adding some shapes. I'm going to add in just some lines here with the side of my pen because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm just going to add some shape in there for that bush that's right next to the house, the pretty little house. And this is where it you have to kind of make some decisions of, with all these trees, like how do you want to make them look different? How do you make them look more interesting? And I'm trying to think about where I'm going to keep my mid-range value. And then I'm just going to put this in here. It's that last tree. Okay, so that's my initial sketch. I'm leaving the telephone pole out of there. I'm going to put that in there because I like it, but that's something that if I put in, it'll get, you know, kind of mucked up real fast. So I'm going to, I'll end up losing that, most of the detail on that lamp post. So I'm going to leave that till the end. The smaller stuff I leave to the end. I'm going to add just a little bit more dark in here. I'm going to go very dark. This is my darkest dark, and I can always go back and add more. The reason I like to add a little bit of that in there is because on all of my sketches, I like to add a lot of water in one spot. I like different, a combination of edges. Like when you go to the, you know, art museum and you go to the landscape, like the English or the American landscape artists, and you see these really dynamic paintings and you look in a little bit closer. What really draws you in is that there are some soft edges and some hard edges. And I like to have both. I like to have a little bit of a blur in some of my sketches. And so by putting this extra dark stuff in here, the darker parts in here, I can add quite a bit of water and I can just kind of push it around. So I'm just going to push it around, and that kind of establishes my sketch like that. And then it also gives me ink that I can play with. And you can, I dab off my brush sometimes I'll use a drier brush. Sometimes I'll use a lighter brush. So I'm going to fill in these lighter places that I did. I'm probably not going to do very much with the building other than some lines and some very, very light fill in, just because there's a lot there. And I don't want to lose my detail. You can go back with this paper and you can lift some if you want. I'll sketch on the side here, and I can use that as extra medium. So now I have to decide how much I want to do. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go fairly dark with my bushes on the bottom and then keep most of my mid-tone in the middle. I'm just going to go ahead and start adding some more texture. Just kind of a little bit of a scribble. And sometimes I'll do like a figure 8, but keep rotating it. My sketches are really just kind of a series of lines, using lots of different lines. You don't have to sketch every leaf. You can, when you look at the photo, you can see where different branches and different plants are kind of clumped, and on some of the edges, there's like a darker shadow. So I'll go ahead and put those in just with little tiny lines, just to kind of give me that's where that one bush ends. Darks next to lights really make the lights pop. So you want to leave quite a bit of white paper to start. I start fairly conservative. And this is what I would call my second pass. When you look at bushes and trees, usually the bottom part is darker than the top. So a lot of it is observation and just kind of sticking to those values as much as you can. You can you can push your subject matter and you can stylize your, you know, your sketch however you sketch, but your values are still really important. Whether the most important in this particular thing, I think they are with my type of sketching it. You'll find that the more that you do this technique, the better you'll be when you convert it into whatever your style is. You know, if you are struggling with your values in your regular painting, by doing more of these monochromatic, whether it's a soluble ink pen or just doing a solid color and watercolor, you'll see an improvement. If you work on your values, you'll definitely see an improvement. The challenge for me, and I don't know if this is true with a lot of artists, but for me, the challenge is how do I convert that mid-range into values, into color, that mid-range value into color, that translating into color is a struggle for me still. So I'm getting better at it, but it's a struggle. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of water here. I'm just gonna build up this layer a little bit. Gonna keep it fairly light. Sometimes I'll tap my brush so that I get more of an interesting texture. You don't have to fill it all in, you know, leave some white space. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to use some of this ink that I put over here, and I'm just going to start adding some more background stuff, but lighter. So I'm getting rid of a little bit of the ink on my water on my brush so that I don't have quite as much stuff here. There's a tree that comes in over here. I can put that in if I want. I'm just kind of pushing it around. And you can add whatever organic shapes you want to it. You don't have to stick to that. You know, I'm not a realist with my sketches. I just kind of do what I like. If I want to add a couple dots, I can add a couple dots. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is a really great technique to just kind of loosen up and just enjoy trying something new, and also making some lines. Okay, I'm going to put this little building in here now. Let's see. Sometimes I'll skip a little bit to just simplify the shapes a little bit. I'm not trying for perfect. I just want a suggestion that there's something there in the back of the picture. Doesn't even have to be, you know, exactly how it is. Buildings are not my favorite thing to draw. So I very rarely draw buildings. Okay. I think I'll go back here and just kind of lightly give my building just a little bit of color. But I don't think I'm going to do much more than that. And see, that gives it just a little bit of something, but you still can see that it's the building. So the greatest thing about this pen is that you can put it back into wet paper. You can put it back into water and it won't ruin the pen. Like a lot of times, you know, you'll use a pen or a marker and you'll put it into water and you ruin it. It just like for some reason it skips, but this pen is amazing. So I can go back now with my next layer, because this is about halfway done. I would like to do maybe one more darker layer. I'm probably going to leave those trees out up on top by these trees here. Probably going to leave those out for right now. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to darken my darks even again one more time and see how that just really kind of starts to bring the values out when you go back and you add a little bit more. And like I said, it's always really impactful when you have a darker next to a lighter. So I'm just doing a little bit of scribbling. You can do some of that stippling to kind of give it some texture. I like to use a variety of lines. I'm just adding a couple of more interesting flowers and leaves and shrubs, just to kind of make it a little different. You want to be able to not have it all be the same leaves, all the same lines. You know, if you think about how the Impressionists did their paintings, and there's a lot of brush movement, and if you look at it closely, they're not all the same, and they're usually going in all kinds of different directions. So I think that makes for a much more interesting sketch, to kind of change it up a little bit. I really like what this is doing right here. So I think I'm just going to kind of define that shrub just a little bit more. And I think I'm just going to leave it because I really like what that's doing. It's got I like what this is doing right here. And I like this white right here. So I'm just going to go a little bit darker here. Maybe with some shapes. Sometimes I'll make a line across the tape and then I'll add water there and it'll get a really nice little kind of thing going. A little bit more water. And it just keeps activating. See how that just really starts to, this ink is incredible. It just keeps activating when you add water. You can go you can even get it even darker than that. See the difference when you add that next layer of value there. I think that looks really good. So the only thing I want to do is I want to separate this and this because these are both the same values, but I don't want to add too much more darkness to this one. So I'm just going to add some little areas up here. I'm going to darken this on this side, just this side right here, to kind of separate it. Variety of lines and leaves. It's got some flowers there. This one had some flowers on it. Add those in. So what are you guys all using?
The Elegant Writer.
Oh, perfect. I can't wait to see it.
Using Le Pen.
Yeah, those are good too. I have the red one. I love the red in the Le Pen. I love it. Yeah, the Elegant Writer is crazy. I like to take
Food-
that.
Food pens with different color inks.
Very nice. What inks do you like?
I like the blue, the black, the green, and the purple.
Mhm. What brand?
I have Sailor Food pens, and I have about 5 or 6 different ones so that I can put cartridges or ink
Right.
depending on which color I feel like I want to use and how I
Yeah.
want to use them and mix them.
Yeah, I like when I'm sketching with inks, I like the Papier Plume inks. They're a New Orleans company, and they're what I really like about them is that they're a medium intensity, and they're just really fun to sketch with because you don't lose control of them too fast, because you can lose control of the solubles really fast. But I do like some of the Sailors for sure. I like the Ricky Shaw that you had in the one pen. Although their new pens that they came out with, the Sailor one that I showed you, the green one, the greenish brown one, I don't think the ink is as good, as nice as their ink that's in the bottle. So I won't buy them again. I bought them because I'm like, oh my gosh, they have my favorite ink in a felt tip pen. This is going to be awesome. And then I didn't like them at all. So it just doesn't have the color split that was in. Okay, what am I going to do here? There's an arch here. Does anybody have any questions?
No, I have one fountain pen and then 2 Lammies that I have different colors in.
And what ink are you working with?
In the Lammies, I have the Lamy ink in the different colors, and then in my fountain pen, I've got the Pelikan 4000
Mhm.
black.
I have a couple of the Pelikan inks, but I find them kind of weak for values. I haven't found a Pelikan ink color that I find dark enough, intense enough for that dark layer that I do. So I don't use them for sketching very much. They make really great washes, but they're a little too weak for me for the type of sketching that I do. But for regular sketching, I think they work really well.
Hi, MJ.
Hello,
Hi, MJ.
good to see you guys.
Question.
You're probably sick of blue ink. What?
No, it's my
Hey,
first time to
American
see you
Isabel.
sketch.
Good to see you guys.
Hi there. Question for MJ then.
Yes.
If Pilot was to release the blue ink from the pen commercially,
Yes.
would it be okay for Pilot Corporation to call it MJ Blue?
I don't know, but I know the first time that I showed their rep what I was doing, she was like, okay, what are you doing with that pen? Because it just never occurred to them that anybody would sketch with it. And I don't even know how I discovered it. It was a customer's pen. I was at her house, and I'm a professional dressmaker, and I was there at her house for a fitting, and I took the pen by accident. And when I got home, I sketched with it, and I thought it's so smooth. It's wonderful. You know, when you grab a pen and it's unexpected, like I'm hanging on to this one. And then I must have got it wet because I somehow discovered that it was soluble, and I just started sketching with it. There's just something about the blue ink that it comes in other colors, but I don't think it's as effective in other colors as it is in the blue. There's just something about it. And if you add enough water, you can see over here, I'm getting these kind of like pink undertones. So if you add enough water, you can get a little bit of purpley and pinky kind of undertones. But like I said, I've tried other blue inks and they're just flat compared to this. So I
Well,
like to use this one.
Since Joseph's bookfish has his own gray and Jane has her gray, we might have an MJ blue. Come on. You know?
Maybe, I don't know. And hey,
think-
I just discovered that Pilot's warehouse is in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, one of
so-
my customers would bring me pens all the time.
Yeah.
I would get all kinds of cool new releases.
So you guys are going to meet up with them probably and probably get your own blue pens maybe. So
Oh,
that would be
MJ,
awesome.
MJ, have you ever tried the sign pens?
The
Yes.
sign pens.
Yeah, with the really long. Yeah, I've got.
No, I haven't. Are those
It's not like-
Japanese?
They're pen tail, but the tip on it is like super long and skinny.
Oh
and
my
they're
God.
very-
Okay. You know what? I saw somebody sketching with that.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I think a lot of illustrators use it, right? For their inking.
But
Or
yeah,
the
it's called
comic book
sign
people?
pen because it's
Yeah,
got
yeah,
kind of that calligraphy feel.
Yeah, I've been
pressed down,
looking
but
for that. It's called sign.
yeah, it's this one is just sign pen by Pentel.
Pentel.
And I ended
So
up
it's-
getting
So it's more for like line writing. Is that what it is? Like because I think a lot of people use it for their inking for their comics. I have a lot of
Right.
friends in
Right.
Chicago that I used
Yeah,
to
I've done-
sketch with for figure drawing, and a lot of them were really talented comic book people.
yeah, they go down very like, see how it can be really skinny.
Oh
but
my
you can't go,
gosh.
like, that way with it.
Okay, so and so you put whatever ink you want into it,
No, it's just you just buy it raw, but they're very water
and they're soluble.
too.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
They're very water soluble.
Oh my
I have a whole
gosh.
set of them in different colors, but I found one of them and it came in one of these little mystery, you know how you can get like art snacks mystery boxes,
Mhm, right.
and they were basically showing all these water soluble pens in that particular mystery box, and that was I ended
Wow.
up going back out and buying the entire color set, but they're very
Yeah,
they bleed really nice.
I'm gonna be looking at those too, because those are really cool. Yeah, I mean, and it's just something about the soluble to me. For me, it just works. I have a kind of short attention span. I don't normally take this much time on a sketch.
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
taking my time. It just works for me, for my brain, because like I said, I have a really short attention span. So it's a
Oh,
very
same.
quick way for me to get what I want to get done for the day, and then just move on. And I can get a couple sketches done, whether
Yeah.
it's with my blue pen or I'm getting kind of sick of my blue pen now because I did so much teaching with it. So I'm trying to get back into plein air painting, but we'll see. So
Yeah, I do all water soluble pens now that I've discovered them, because
that's awesome.
you can get a lot of stuff down quick.
What's your if you're not doing pens, or if you put ink in your fountain pens, what's your favorite fountain pen ink for?
I don't do fountain pens. I have
You
a hate
don't do?
relationship with fountain
Ah,
pens.
you
I live and die by the Elegant Writer for the most part.
Oh,
I
I love it.
have an entire book full of it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. It's such a great,
Yeah.
I took it to a botanic gardens and it was just the perfect pen for it. It's just perfect.
Yeah, and I'll still mix color with it every once in a while to try to get and let them bleed together. I'll take
Yep.
a watercolor and just that, or
Yeah.
those Caran Dash pens. Have you seen their pen, the little water soluble crayons?
Yeah, we got those in our goodie bags in Toronto, I think. Yeah. And then we got the soluble markers, which are really awesome, in the Chicago one. So I have new soluble tools to play with. I just haven't had time.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to concentrate on the blue pen because I was teaching, and you lose that skill so fast when you don't, do it all over. So I've just been kind of there's been a lot of blue pen everywhere. So we had quite a few workshops in Chicago also. It was fun.
I'm done.
I'm almost done too. Just got to put my street light in there. I'm not even paying attention to
Oh
my
yeah, the
picture
street
anymore.
light. I did forget the street light. What am I thinking?
When we get close, we'll do a little throwdown, show everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so bad at straight lines.
I was
It's not-
just gonna say the same thing.
but I feel like it's so funny because I thought I had looked more professional, so I packed a really cool ruler it's a Japanese one that I got from Jet Pens, and it opens up and it's narrow. It's like a 1/2 inch, and it closes together with this round protractor thing on the side, so you can angle it. And I don't even know why I packed it because I don't even use it, but I end up giving it to one of the sketchers in Toronto because I feel like when I use a ruler, it just then I get too caught up in trying to be perfect, and that's not me as an artist. I try to just not put too much pressure on myself, you know.
Right.
Those types of events are always so difficult anyway, because you always feel like, oh, my sketch is not going to be that good. Everybody else is so good. And, you know, this really isn't what it is. This is just have fun. You know, it's not soluble. So, you know, you can try to keep it all you want, but, you know, it's not, it's just, this is just for fun. This is a just for fun technique. When you're feeling like, yeah, maybe I don't sketch today. Anyway, I think that's good right there. So I would probably let that dry a little bit and go back with I could do another layer with the Posca marker to do some highlights or something, but I think it actually looks pretty good. So let's see what everybody else is working on. Does anybody have any questions?
No,
No?
but I tell you, I appreciate you explaining it for a beginner. My good friend Catherine gave me a Fuda pen, and this first time I've ever done anything with a fountain pen, and it's been so much fun. And it's just a whole
Congratulations.
new technique, just putting the water on there. I was like,
I
oh, I'll make some
know.
pink flowers, and I just learned that I can't put the watercolor on because it hit the ink and
It
didn't
doesn't matter because there was somebody in Toronto that was sketching, and she ended up adding like pink or something. It looked great together. So, you know, I could go back and I could add gouache to this if I wanted after it dries. The thing the thing about this though, is it's so soluble that I can go back a year later and add water to it and it will still activate. So it doesn't ever get permanent. It's definitely, you know, a very soluble, you know, kind of ink. So,
Well, this has been fun.
but you can add like when I add the white Posca pen or I like the Molotow all for one markers better. Anything acrylic paint, because you need it to be a slightly different, it's got a binder, and you need something that's going to be a little more permanent, opaque. If I put it in there when it's quite wet, it'll turn kind of a really nice aqua or turquoise. If I want it to be more white, I have to wait for it to completely dry. And I could let this completely dry and do one more layer of dark and one layer of light white if I wanted to, but you know, this is just for fun. So I'm just going to leave it. So almost all of my stuff is fun. I'm one of those people that rips stuff out of my sketchbook to give to people too. I really don't care about my stuff that much. I should, but I don't, you know. And I don't think I think my zigzags are the ones that are completely finished. I have so many started sketchbooks. I have a people sketchbook, you know. This is one, if you want to see some other inks, these are all fountain pen inks. This is what I was saying about the Pelican. This is their ultraviolet. Oh, no, this is Karen Dash. As a little weak. This is a German ink. This is Papier Plume's Bad Leroy Brown. They always do the Chicago ink pen show, and they do Chicago themed inks, and they are spot on in color. this is really cool because you can see the pink here. It's brown. It's a brown ink.
Which pen is that?
This is the Bad Leroy Brown ink. It's Papier Plume. I don't know if they still sell it, but if anybody wants a sample, just email me. I'll send you a sample. I have a ton of ink. This is a German ink. No, this is Warsaw Dreaming. This is a Polish ink, KWZ. You can see it turns kind of pink and purple here. It's very, very dark. It's a midnight black. It's a fabulous ink. Marek and Isabel use it quite a bit. I like KWZ inks. It's a very difficult ink to control if you're first starting out, though. It's very intense. Same as a sketch from the Chicago Pen Show. This is what I was trying out. This is the KWZ Chicago Blue, but see the difference? It's just not the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not as intense either. I think this is the Elegant Writer. That's the Elegant Writer. Bartending. This is Iroshizuku has a bunch of inks that are really fun. This is their Tsutsuyo. It's turquoise. Teal.
Hey, Mary Jo, let's show all the pictures or we're not going to
Yes,
make
let's
it.
do.
It's 9 o'clock.
Yes. Oh, is it really? Oh my gosh. I didn't think I was going
Getting
to go that
close.
long. Okay.
Getting really close.
Okay. Let's
So
wrap
can
it
you
up
put
then.
it on gallery, Jamie?
Yep, I'm working on it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so cool.
While she's working on that, MJ, do you use more than one pen when you do your sketching if you're out on location? at the same
Yeah,
time?
so I usually, this is usually what I carry. You can see I work with ink because it's a mass. And I usually have a permanent black, like a Pitt pen or something, just so I can go back and make stuff highlighted. I'll carry a permanent platinum carbon ink. I like the TWSBI Echoes, and I like the Lamy, but I only like the Vistas. The Safaris are too scratchy for me. I really like the Vistas. Not a lot of people use the Vistas, but they're way smoother than the Safaris. So I usually carry medium nibs because I like a lot of ink on my paper. And then I'll usually carry a little thing of watercolors, little palette of watercolors, and some type of white highlighter. These look fantastic. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. Will you guys please tag me? I'm Mysterious Mannequin on Instagram. So tag me on these. Oh, beautiful. I love it. Hang on, I got to keep going. I got to go to my gallery view too.
Don't forget to get a picture of this, Jamie.
Yeah.
Hold your pictures up so we can get a picture.
Should I hold mine up or should I leave it here?
Yes, hold yours up, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Very nice.
Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. You guys did a
So
fabulous
cool.
job.
Okay,
See.
hold him up there.
We have quite a group
I
today.
finally got this down. Hold him back up again. I finally figured out how to do this.
Nice, Jamie.
You guys
Are you
rock.
gonna do the? I want to see each one up close. I don't want to do that.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, the
Oh, look
elegant
at
writer
that.
looks so great.
There it is.
Look at you guys. I can't wait to sketch with you guys. So I was in Florida last February and I got together with Hannah in Orlando. But I'll come visit you guys.
That would be awesome.
You have a new chapter too, USK Palm Beach.
Beach. That's
Yeah.
pretty far. So
I know, but
Ruth is here. Everybody say hi to Ruth.
yeah.
She's from Palm Beach. Chapter.
Oh, is he? I worked with Carl. I'm the mentor for all new chapters in the US. I'm on the global membership team.
well, thank you. We're very
work-
excited.
I work with Isabel Santos is the team leader for North America, and I'm the US person. I work mostly in the US, but I worked a lot with Carl
You
And
said
it worked really hard to get it going.
to
Yeah.
get your group up, going, participating. That's all we needed. We just needed some participation, and man, you guys pulled it out.
Yeah, we have a fun group.
Do you think you guys could spotlight? I want to.
Here and I'm down there and I'm down there. Can we show each, do you want to show each person, Jamie? That's what Hannah usually does.
I'd like to see the spotlight, and I'd like to hear what everybody
All right,
used.
let's
Yeah.
see what we're doing up
I
now.
would love to hear too. You already know my stuff, so I'm putting mine down.
All right, that's yours. Okay, we're gonna do Barbara. See if I can
Where's
do
Barbara? Oh, Barbara, that's great.
Oh, I didn't see it. Why
I
isn't
don't
it?
see it.
Your watercolor is really showing through on there. That's nice.
Can you spotlight them?
Are you using a
Spot-
gallery view?
That's what I was doing. Is it not spotlighted?
No.
Yeah, I can't
No,
No?
I can't get a gallery view either.
all I have is gallery view. That's, oh, there it is. There's Jamie.
See Jamie's face. I see Joanna's face.
Let's see, spotlight for everyone. Okay.
How do you do that?
I'm working.
There's
There
a,
we go.
One
Beautiful.
time, yeah.
oh, that is beautiful.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Very
see?
nice.
Very
That's my
nice.
favorite part.
Very
Which pen did you
nice.
use?
These are the Tombow.
Combos, yes.
Yeah.
Oh. I have a whole
Awesome.
set of combos. Cool.
Nice. Thank you.
Anybody else want to show us? Remove
Who's
spot.
next?
Call them out.
Computer's a little slow doing what I want it to do. Okay, let's see. Let's do Ruth. Let's see what we can do with Ruth. That's the wrong spotlight.
Very nice.
That's real nice.
I love the that burst of white that's coming through behind your trees. It's your values are just really, really striking on that.
Yeah.
It just
It
looks
is.
like you've got this backlight on it. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Really well done.
I don't know how it happened, but thank you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the fun part about solubles is you don't get caught up in perfection. You just kind of play around with them and you get these really unexpected results because you can be really excited about something and then it will dry completely different. You know, it's just like watercolor. You put a piece on there, you go, wow, this is really cool. And then it dries completely different. Like, okay, well, that wasn't what I was expecting, but it's beautiful. Really well done. Really, really nice, strong value.
Thank you. Jamie, Janet has hers up.
I'm working on it. Hold on. Lots of clicking going on around here. Where's Jen? Oh, there it is. Okay.
I used the Elegant Writer and I
Oh,
Very nice.
that's beautiful.
I see those color
Oh, that's
splits.
pretty.
So pretty. What paper
Yes.
is
pretty.
that?
I don't know, whatever paper I had.
It's
It
really
is
nice.
watercolor paper.
Yeah, it's really nice. You can see
Yeah,
that
you-
it handles the water really well. And it must not have a lot of binder in it. You know, it looks a lot like it could be arches or something like that. That's 100% cotton because you got a lot of bleed in yours. Very nice.
That was one color pen?
Yep.
It's the Elegant Writer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real neat.
Wow.
That is so cool.
That is
Yep.
nice.
You
I've
get
only
black.
used it like once or twice, so I'm not.
Yeah, you get black, gray, teal, aqua,
Yeah.
and pink.
Yeah.
And the more water you get, the more the color splits. If you want to see what it's capable of, whatever you're using, scribble on a piece of paper towel and put a lot of water in it, and it will just burst onto the paper towel and give you an idea what the chroma range is. On ink, you can just drop it into a wet paper towel and it'll just, explode.
Well, let's see,
Very
Jess. Jess, let's see yours.
The computer's slow.
It's too low, Jess. Up a little bit.
Oh, I can't see anything. Sorry.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh,
It's
man.
nice, whimsical
Oh,
style.
that's
It's
nice.
gorgeous.
That's a beauty.
Awesome.
Also Elegant Writer.
Yep, it's
Mm.
beautiful. And I love how
Beautiful
you
colors.
controlled the values on the building. It's very well done.
Yeah.
The Elegant Writer, I was looking at them on like an Amazon, and they say most of them say they're calligraphy. Is that?
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes, they're an angled, chiseled tip. I go for the smaller one. I don't know what size I usually do smaller than that.
I get the big one just because I can turn it
Really?
side and get the big fat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I do
Jump.
I usually buy the 1.3, the extra fine and then the fine.
Yeah,
The
Okay.
white.
it's like a.
All
They're
right.
two. It
very
goes sizzle.
inexpensive. I think they're like $3, $2.99 or $3.99 or something. You can get them at anywhere, Hobby Lobby,
Right.
Yeah.
Michael's, Joanne Fabrics, I think has them. They do dry out pretty fast
Yeah.
though. So,
That's why I buy them in bulk.
you know, at least they are inexpensive. They just dry out pretty
But
fast.
I love them. You can see I go to town
Oh,
with them too.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's
I
nice.
love this. Thanks
Wow.
for sharing that. That's
And
gorgeous.
that's like you said, you add a lot of water, or if you blot it a lot too. Like if you get it wet and
Mhm.
blot it, you can control more pink.
Yeah, you need some good paper for that blotting to lift that color. Yeah, very nice. Anybody else want to show their work? We have a lot of crickets out there. Hello, I know there's more people.
Phyllis.
No
Phyllis,
fear,
show
no fear. Come on.
Phyllis.
Mm,
And you,
AJ has his up.
Phyllis has hers up. Oh, Catherine
Oh,
has
that's
hers.
Catherine's got
nice.
hers up.
Oh,
That's
wow.
beautiful. Is that
Beautiful,
the elegant
Catherine.
mark?
Ready?
No, that's Catherine. Oh, that's
What-
you,
Yeah.
Catherine.
Yeah.
What pen is that?
Fuda pen started with blue, added water, let it dry, went back in with some black, and then threw some pink in for the flowers. Just for
Very
that.
nice. Very nice layers. Love it. Very nice. Okay, AJ, put yours back up there.
let's see if I can find him.
If he talks, he'll pop up, won't he?
All right, there you are.
Let's see. Okay,
Oops.
Come on.
Sure. In the kill.
sorry, guys.
All right.
Where is it? Am I looking at AJ now?
Yeah. Or Phyllis.
All right.
Fix it
gonna-
right here.
Phyllis has got hers up.
alrighty. Let's see this.
Not spotlight.
Joanna's got blue. Joanna,
Yep.
what blue did you use? That's really pretty.
That's just a Pilot G2 pen
Yep.
that you can get at the
Yeah.
grocery store.
Spotlighted, I'm not
Yeah.
seeing it.
If you want to do a different Pilot pen, the G2s are the strongest, even stronger than the V7s, or something about that gel G2 that works really well. I use the black ones for when I teach because they're inexpensive. Very nice, really pretty.
Where is it, Jamie? Oh,
Phyllis,
minute.
There it is.
Oh, no.
There it is.
All
Very
right.
nice.
Oh, look
You
at
did
the aqua
You did a
color.
really nice job of controlling your mid-value range. That's really nice.
Really nice.
Thanks.
That's a good one.
Mhm. They're all good ones. You guys are really good sketchers.
that's really pretty.
That is.
I love that. It looks like an illustration in a children's book. It's so cute.
Thank you.
Phyllis, did you turn the camera off?
No, it said the host turned me off.
I didn't think I did, but I'll try to turn you back on.
It was not me. It was not me.
I think they're not paying me to do this.
You put me in a corner.
Seriously.
I got
What about
Ask
AJ?
Phyllis to start video.
While Phyllis is figuring that out, can you get AJ on there?
Let's see where AJ is. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. Okay. All right, AJ, hang on one second. There we go.
All right.
Very nice
Great.
shapes.
Yes.
What were you
Thanks.
using for that?
Yeah, I actually have one of these Pilot High-Tech C's.
Yep.
And I just put down some lines and then just went over with some
Very
water.
nice. Very nice.
I like
Yeah.
the light suggestion and then
I
pulling
do
everything
too.
into the, yeah,
I
you
do
pull the
too.
shapes out of it.
It's very effective, and your shape values are all different too, which is really nice. You've got a nice range going there. Very
Thank you.
nice. It's a good size sketchbook too. What sketchbook is that? Is
Yeah,
that
it's
the
a Hanamula.
Hanamule? Yeah, it's
yeah.
their watercolor. Yeah, I have a couple of those.
David, did you do
Hi.
anything, David Talbot? Do you have David's?
He's waiting.
Very patiently.
My
Oh, we
gosh,
got
where
lots of color.
Look at all the
Love it.
did you get all that color from? Wow.
Very nice.
Used a black fountain pen and then I had Lamy with purple and red.
Very nice.
Very nice.
I like it. I like the pink and the purple on the building next to each other. The really nice corner over there. Very nice.
Very good.
Okay, I think there was Eric from my chapter, USK West Michigan.
Let me find
Show
out.
your stuff.
Where
Was
is
it
he?
Eric? Or no?
I don't see anybody named Eric.
No? I think he's a new member. Maybe he left us.
He was here.
He's not here.
Mhm.
I don't see.
What about,
I can't get my gallery view to work. I don't know why. My view button is frozen.
Unless you need to turn your camera back on.
Me, my camera's on. It tells me I can't open it, that the host has blocked me.
Well, I haven't,
So
sorry.
whoever's the,
It
because I
says-
haven't touched
it
it.
tells me to ask you. to
The
stop the video.
participant view.
It
Yeah,
says,
my screen is like frozen. My screen's frozen.
I don't
I
know.
I have Phyllis's picture she sent to me. I can show it off my phone, but I don't know if that's gonna help, but here.
That works.
All right, just 1 second.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh,
Spot like that.
Very nice.
beautiful work.
Yeah, it
Nice,
is.
nice, Phyllis.
Right there. Keep it
oh,
right
that's
there.
really,
Very
That's
nice balance. Really nice balance on that.
Thanks for
I love
helping out with that, Catherine. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
No worries. She did phenomenal. She's never even used that pen before. Good golly, she's so talented.
Keep going. Keep going.
Jamie, we didn't see yours and we always
Oh.
want to see yours.
Let's see. Let's see if I can spotlight myself. Let's figure this. Okay, here we go. It's not looking.
Can you lift it up higher?
Oh, really pretty.
Ooh.
I used 2 different pens.
Beautiful.
Used this
Wow.
left
I
hand,
love,
and
yeah,
I used this little fountain pen I bought in Paris that just happens to be water soluble. I think this is Lamy, some kind of a Lamy.
I really like all the variety of the shapes and the textures that you have, and that's very, very nice.
Yeah, I like that you tackled the sky.
Yeah.
I do too.
I
That
kept
was a
going
little
back and
tough.
forth between
think
putting
it-
something down or not.
I think it really adds in your sketch to do the sky like that. It really kind of ties it all together. It's very well balanced. I like that. Very nice.
Thank
What fun. You guys are so fun.
Um,
I'll have to start joining your monthly meetups more
we
often.
really have a good time.
Yeah.
You're
Bonnie?
welcome to join anytime. You know, West Douglas comes now and then.
Yeah,
And
I know.
Merrick is here, you know, and yeah.
Yeah.
Bonnie, did you show yours yet?
Who?
Bonnie?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, I
Oh,
love new
Oh.
colors.
that's
Like that.
beautiful.
Yeah. You really get a sense of the garden on that one. It's very pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, really nice.
What did you use for that, Bonnie?
I have some Chinese ink and my con and one that has no name on it.
You said
Very
Chinese ink?
My
Really
Chinese-
nice.
My Chinese ink.
Oh, yes. Yep. Very nice. Very nice.
What about Lisa?
Ballpoint.
Oh, I love the glass dip pens.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
I have one of
glass
those.
pen.
They seem to go forever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always afraid I'm going to drop it. I'm such a klutz.
That's the one pen I haven't bought yet, but I think I
Oh,
should.
somebody gave it to me, so I would never buy one on my own because I know I would break it in a heartbeat. But for some reason, it's lasted like 3 years. So I shouldn't say that, but oh, perfect.
What about
Janet's used
Arteza?
Arteza cold pressed. So does anybody have any questions or parting comments?
I have a question. Why doesn't Lisa show us her book?
Because it got really, really heavy handed with the ink in it.
No,
A bunch of
Showing
blobs. It looks horrible. It's a bunch of blobs.
no, it's
It's just-
not.
It's all really
No, it's
heavy
not.
handed.
And it-
It's awful.
It
Oh,
is
it's
not
not.
awful. No,
Not
it's
awful at all,
not.
Lisa. It looks
Not
really
at
good.
all. No, it's
It's
not.
That's nice. That's
I
real
There's a
nice.
lot of
too
contrast.
I
heavy.
like your color
Yes,
choices.
she has great color and your values are balanced really, really well. They look great.
It's gloopy.
No,
Take the tape off, you'll like it better.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
think you're,
Yeah.
I think you're
Yeah.
too hard on yourself. We need to
Yeah.
not be so hard on ourselves as artists because we just enjoyed ourselves sketching. That's all that matters, right? Doesn't matter what
Right.
is on the paper. This is not a commission. You know, nobody's expecting to take these tomorrow. So, you know,
that's true.
um,
I
you
have
know,
a couple of questions in the
it's just
chat.
for you. Sure.
Janet said she used Artesa paper, cold press 140 or 300 grams. And Leah asked, Lisa, what's your Instagram?
It's Mysterious Mannequin from Nancy Drew.
Oh,
But I'm also a dressmaker, so it works well.
yeah, I see your sewing machine back there.
You said
Yeah.
mysterious.
This is
Man-
my sewing studio.
Mm.
Yeah, it's my sewing studio. I had to put paper up in the back because my dad has dementia, which is why I moved back home. Gave up my life and everything in Chicago. And if I don't put that in there, he gets a little agitated with my mess. See my blue ink in my hand here.
Mary Jo, thank you so much for
Oh,
coming
you're
and
welcome.
helping us break into using water soluble pens. I know some of us try it now and then, but I think you've inspired us to try it a lot more.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know, it's a good thing to just keep in your glove compartment. You can just put one soluble pen, a small sketchbook, and a Pentel water brush or something. That's all you need, you know. Or if you're just not feeling it, you know, sometimes I go to meetups, I'm like, oh, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not going to carry everything, and I'll just grab it because it's easy. You know, it's easy, and I think it's so effective. Look at everybody's sketches just from tonight. You know, everybody did such a beautiful job. So I hope you guys continue to try new things.
I don't know why I'm so surprised, but I didn't realize that ballpoint, you know, the ballpoint pens would be water soluble. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's an ink. Of course it could be a water soluble, but that really surprised me.
Yeah. One tip, because like I said, you know, sometimes you're out and about like at a hair salon or whatever, and you end up with one of their pens or whatever. I sound like I take people's pens all the time, but I don't. I just kind of, you know, forget. But if I test them to see if they're water soluble, if they are, I put a little piece of tape on them so that I know when I'm grabbing something that it's soluble. I also do that with I color code my brushes with different duct tape, just because you can use ink and watercolor together on a brush, but you need to wash them really well in between. They don't gunk them up too much. But like with oil, acrylic, and watercolor or whatever, sometimes I don't use typical oil. I don't like the hog bristle brushes for oil painting. So I put little color coded tape on everything so that I know just by looking at it that that's what it is. So, and then that way I know that the pen is soluble, you know. I don't care if I grab one by accident, but some people do. So anyway, it was a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Thank you
I
so
really,
much.
Thank you,
really
Mary Jo.
enjoyed myself.
Thank
I really
you.
enjoyed
All right.
sketching with you guys, and you guys did a fabulous job. So I hope to see you in the winter.
Okay, we hope so too.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Have a good evening.